Were you surprised by the opaqueness of the end result of this OPEC meeting on Friday?
Oriel, good morning. Yeah, 100% actually. To see the comments that came through without an actual number created a little bit of concern in the market. And as we know, it came down to Russia, I think, on the weekend that said, well, OK, it's going to be 1 million barrels. So I've got a bit of a concern about the announcement and also the capacity and how it'll be delivered.
OK, let me ask you then, Jonathan, how do you expect this to influence the market over the medium term? I mean, you know, we've seen the market move one way and then the next, I suppose, as the news is really digested. Some of this was in the price already before the meeting, of course, even started.
Yeah, Oriel, quite interesting. Obviously, supply cuts 1.8. Now we're doing productions of 1 million. You know, that leaves us still with a little bit of deficit of 800,000 when we've got economic concerns, potential trade wars, you know, on the horizon. You know, I think at the end of the day, we've still got prices that I think, given the increase in production, the prices can still start to trend higher. You know, just to the top end of the range, see a little bit more rhetoric come out. But yeah, look, I sort of think the market's still thinking we're a little bit short, and I think the market wanted to see a lot more.
OK, so what happens next? I mean, you know, what happens in the US side of the equation? I think that's probably one of the key points that this OPEC meeting obviously didn't necessarily address. What happens to US shale oil?
Yeah, look, I think that's that's becoming more of a concern. Remember, that was a market that the US now a leading exporter. We've got concerns there that the trade wars might have a bit of an issue. You know, China sort of puts on their tariff of 25%. WTI comes under pressure. They lose that discount. So there is a disruption within that market. I think, as we mentioned, as I heard earlier, no one obviously wins out of trade wars. So I think the US have a real concern if they're following that trade war philosophy with China. Obviously, China is a new market to the US, and by putting these trade wars or these barriers up, it actually sort of puts a bit of a concern, you know, to that market. So, you know, here's a new market all of a sudden potentially shut down by the actions of the president.
Still watching? Perfect. Click here to watch another great video from CNBC International. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.